So question, is it ever okay to get your lick back? Don't even know what I'm talking about? That's okay, we're gonna talk about it. Stay right here. Shani speaks now. Ooh, yeah. Shani speaks now. Ooh, Shani speaks now. It's Shani on Shani Speaks Now. What's good, beautiful people? It's your girl Shani here, your little big sis, and welcome to this week's edition of Always Keep the Faith Fridays. I know that I gave you all a little bit of a break because I had a vlog and I also had an interview, and I love being able to switch it up from time to time. But your girl is back here on Fridays, and you know what I do with Always Keep the Faith Fridays. I do my best to give you a little gem, a little motivation, taking you from your work week to your Friday and going into your weekend. How have you guys been? You guys been good? Your girl has a new hairstyle for the spring. Yes, gotta bring the curls out for the spring. But I hope that you all have been doing well and that you've enjoyed what I'm doing so far. I'm so glad that you all are here with me. And for the Faith fam, thank you all so much for being so faithful to your girl and continuing to keep it locked and watched. And for anyone who's watching for the very first time, welcome. I'm so glad that you found me here on the Shani Speaks Now channel. Hopefully you will subscribe, you will like, you will share, and you will join the Faith fam. And keep in mind that outside of being able to watch me here on YouTube, your girl now has a podcast called Shani Speaks Now, the podcast. So if you can't watch me, you can listen to me, and hopefully you will subscribe as I'm trying to build that audience up. So don't only just subscribe, but be sure to listen and rate, because as you rate my podcast, it makes it easier for people to watch it. We're gonna get into something a little bit controversial. However, I'm gonna be neutral as possible because that's what I do, okay? I do neutral. So you all know that your girl loves entertainment. I love an award show, and it has been award season pretty much since the beginning of the year. Now, last weekend was the Oscars, and it's hard to think of the Oscars anymore without thinking of what happened at last year's Oscars. Now, unless you've been under a rock, you know that last year Chris Rock hosted the Oscars, and while he was on stage doing his intro, he made a joke about Jada Pinkett, which Will Smith was not too happy about, and Will Smith approached the stage and slapped him. And needless to say, it was shocking and unexpected and really just had people on all kinds of sides. And it's kind of just been floating in the air in terms of entertainment for the last year. But it's come to the surface again this year because on March 4th, I believe it was, Chris Rock finally decided to come out and speak about the incident in a Netflix special that he did right before Oscars weekend. And with that being said, it kind of seems that he verbally got his lick back. So stay tuned to this episode as we're going to talk a little bit about the lick back. Now, I have to admit, I haven't watched the special. To be quite honest, I just find the whole situation uncomfortable, seeing just grown and very talented people who, you know, I have admiration for in terms of their skills and their gifts and what they do, kind of go back and forth in this way. So I did not partake in the Netflix special. I saw a couple articles about it. I saw a couple clips online with bits and pieces, but I didn't really delve too deep in it. But from what I gather, there's obviously still some, you know, some tension in between the camps, so to speak. And it's just not fun, and it's uncomfortable to be on the outside looking in, to say the least. Now, even though unfortunately Will Smith physically approached Chris Rock, that's what I'll use the word approached, Chris Rock is getting back with his words. And I call this the lick back because have you ever seen like kids especially like to do this. They are playing around and they're hitting each other, and one person hits the other person and the other person hits the other person, and it's almost like everyone wants to get the last lick. And I don't know if this is Chris Rock trying to get the last lick, but the lick back actually is a real thing. So let's talk about it a little bit. Now, in the wonderful Urban Dictionary, the definition of lick back, and that is L-I-C-K back, at least one of the definitions is getting your revenge because someone did you wrong. And essentially, that is one of the most natural and most common things that most people want to do. If someone does something to you, the first thing that you want to do is get back at them or have some sort of revenge, or, maybe talk about them or be able to avenge yourself in some way. So getting your lick back is not something new. And this is something that's literally being played out specifically in this situation, even though we see it played out in the media, in entertainment, and in social media, and probably just in our everyday lives if you interact with people on a regular day-to-day basis. I think often the lick back happens when people feel disrespected, when they feel dishonored, when they don't feel heard. And even though it's the natural feeling or the natural thing to want to do, this whole situation has me really thinking, is it really the best thing to do though? Probably not. There's definitely a much better way to handle yourself than going with the lick back, but I have to admit, it is not something that you can normally do in your own strength, and it's not something you can do without conditioning yourself to be able to do that. So let's dig just a little bit deeper. So there's a Bible verse that I really, really love. It's Romans 12:19, and this is the ESV version. And it says, "Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave it to the wrath of God. For it is written, 'Vengeance is mine, I will repay,' says the Lord." Woo! That's a word. And if there's ever something to let you know whether you should get your lick back or not, clearly right here in the Bible, it says that that's not the best way to handle it. Not only is it not the best way to handle it, but God would prefer that you allow him to handle it. He says, "Vengeance is mine, I will repay." And while that's hard, because I know for us, we feel like we need to do something now. We feel like we need to say something now. We need to make sure this person knows that what they did was not right, that we didn't like it, that we're not going to take it, that we're not a punk, whatever you want to use. But what does that really serve? And ultimately, do you feel better at the end of the day when you've gotten your lick back? I gotta admit, I am really, really glad that God says that he's got our lick back for us. For me, even though there may be moments where I may be tempted to want to do this, personally, I love my peace. I am a lover, not a fighter. And ultimately, even though I'm not perfect, I want to do what honors God at the end of the day. What I realized too is in allowing God to get our lick back for us, it's protecting us. It's protecting our reputation. It's protecting our character. It's protecting us physically, possibly, especially if someone is a little bit more on the violent side or may want to physically harm you. And ultimately, it is protecting our peace. Did I mention peace? Okay, because peace is a real thing. Peace is needed. So just remember, when you are tempted and want to get your lick back, God is more than capable of handling your lightweight or your heavyweight, depending on how you look at it. And ultimately, he will allow you to keep your reputation intact. So what's this week's faith fact? Because God's got our back, we don't have to worry about getting our lick back. Now, I know that sounds a little funny, but it's true. He has our back. So we don't have to worry about avenging ourselves. We don't have to worry about avenging our honor. Most times when we keep quiet and we are silent and we simply just move forward, many times that's more of a lick back sometimes to the person who's done something to us, because they're expecting a reaction. They're expecting you to get upset. They're expecting you to flare up. They're expecting you to get nasty with them. There's a verse in the Bible, and I don't know it off the top of my head right now, but it talks about being so kind that it's literally like heaping burning coals on someone's head. Ultimately, it's better to be able to treat someone so great that they almost feel terrible for treating you in the way that they did. More than anything, I do hope that these grown men, both Chris Rock and Will Smith, will get to a point where they will have a conversation. They both mean a lot to the culture in terms of what they do, especially for Black people. And it would be nice to see them be able to handle this in a more positive way. Is that a way to say it? A more positive way, in a more constructive way. There we go. So hopefully that will take place. But if not, at least we can learn some lessons from them and know what to do or what not to do. Well, that's it for this week's episode, guys. I hope that you all enjoy that and that it is something that you not only took in, but that you'll want to share with someone else. If you are not subscribed to my channel, please, please, please hit that subscribe button and hit that notification button so you know when your girl has a new episode, a vlog, an interview, or something else going on. And for those of you that continue to watch and subscribe, I love you all and appreciate you all. So much. And don't forget, if you cannot watch, you can also listen on my podcast, Shani Speaks Now, the podcast. Well, that's it. You know how we end with the motto, always keep the faith and let the Lord fight your battles. Until next time, take care. Love y'all. Have a great weekend. Peace. Thanks for watching, Faith Fam. Be sure to subscribe, share, and like this episode, and I'll see you back on my channel soon.